Would you be open to it if you found someone that you were interested in?
Actually, Bree, I am not trying to find anyone. God said that He would bring me.
Well, there you go. If
God sent somebody after I pray about it and get a confirmation from God and not from everybody else, then yes, I would be very open to it.
Okay, how you feel?
The Lord will bring him to your footstep, your footstool.
Footstool?
What's that saying?
No, your enemies are
your enemies is your footstool.
No,
wrong verse. Right?
No. I mean, like, you're expecting someone to just show up in front of your face.
And the Lord can do it.
This is the Journey Podcast, a podcast about the issues Christians face in everyday life. I'm Brandon Hargrove Sr. I'm joined as always by my co-host, Tanya Hayes, and my wonderful wife, Bree Hargrove Sr. This podcast is a production of CCUMEDIA. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of Christ Care Unit, Missionary Baptist Church, CCUMEDIA, or Bishop Robert F. Hargrove Sr. We are all members of Christ Care Unit, Missionary Baptist Church in Sicklerville, New Jersey, where Bishop Robert F. Hargrove Sr. is pastor and founder. We are back again for a good time. We have new topics and conversation locked and loaded for your listening enjoyment. We appreciate you being here with us, so stick around because in just a second, we will dive deep into the issues Christians face every day. This is the Journey Podcast. Let's talk about it. Okay, ladies, episode number 2.
Episode 2.
Hey,
here we are.
We're
back, for another episode of the Journey Podcast. Thanks for joining us, all you listeners, wherever you may be listening in. Question, did you go back and listen to episode 1?
I did.
Episode 1 is officially dropped on all of our platforms, wherever you get your podcast, so we're excited about that. I did listen to it. You said you did.
Scared.
Yeah.
You didn't listen to it yet.
I did not listen
Really?
to it yet.
Why?
I'm scared. Like,
About what?
I don't know. I think I'm going to laugh a lot if I listen to it.
Laughing at yourself?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
Well, all of us. But anyway, I had fun. It was beautiful.
Yeah, it was fun. I think hopefully turning this into something good here. But I mean, I wouldn't be so inclined maybe a few years ago to go back and listen to it because I hate listening to myself. I hated listening to myself.
Absolutely.
Recording something. I just hated the sound of my own
Your
voice.
voice, yeah.
So
I
annoying.
mean, that's how I am with singing. But talking, I think you were making fun of me a couple times when you listened back to it with my laugh, Brandon.
I mean, whatever. I mean, laughs are funny. I'm just saying the sound of my voice annoys me. Well, it did annoy me. I don't mind it so much now. I don't really care. I've learned to accept it, especially with like my lisp. It gets a little bit, you know what I mean? All those plosives that, you hate hearing. I don't necessarily enjoy it, but I didn't mind it. I did go back and listen to it. I thought it was okay. For
Well,
our
you know what
first
they
episode.
say? They say you're your own worst critic.
Right.
So where other people would praise you and lift you up, you see all the bad. You critique yourself hard.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
That could be good and bad, because you're like critiquing yourself and you're really doing really well. But again, you don't take other people's positive criticism or positive encouragement because you don't think that you're doing as well as they're saying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There goes our Roomba vacuum. Perfect. Because somebody doesn't, reset it, but whatever. It's okay. We're also always, as always, joined by our little mini co-host, Julian, who is sleeping peacefully at this time, wrapped up on his mommy. So if you hear a little snort or a little baby noises,
snoring,
it's
just
not a
know
sound.
it's him.
It's not a sound effect machine. It's just Julian. Before we start, I wanted to say, in getting our last episode out there, especially on our Facebook page, I ran a couple of ads on our Facebook page to try and publicize the podcast as much as possible. Obviously, the more you get out there, the better.
Right.
Which was my thought. But after running the first ad on our Facebook page, the Journey Podcast, it kind of brought me back to the same place where I absolutely cannot stand Facebook. I hate it. Mm-hmm. I've hated it for a long time because everything on there is so negative.
Right.
You scroll on your news feed and it's just like, half the stuff is, honestly, it's like, who cares? The other half is like useless ads or ads about stuff that you've Googled, and it's like,
right,
I'm not interested in this anymore, or whatever. And that's all you see. As soon as you Google something, you're gonna you see an ad about it.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and you know what I mean. Then maybe a little slither is like good or stuff you actually care about, or people that you want to see. So, I mean, I don't like Facebook for that reason. But after running the first ad. So obviously it's pushed, as a Christian podcast, we talk about the issues Christians face every day. That's our tagline or whatever. So that's what, is on there. And my problem is with running Facebook ads is you can't necessarily, when you publish the ad to run, like, so if you're scrolling, it would pop up, like every fourth post you see an ad, it would pop up like that on someone's newsfeed. You can't tell Facebook and I guess it's hard to, I don't know if it's necessarily easy thing to do or whatever. You can't tell Facebook who exactly you want to see this ad. I can't tell Facebook I want a certain demographic or certain, it's like, users who are this age who live in this area. Like you can target by, where they live. Mm-hmm. So the ad ran, and I guess it reached a bunch of people who, maybe weren't Christians, which is good, right? You would think. But the amount of people who posted something on the ad, who commented on the page with harshly negative stuff, all kinds of derogatory terms and comments towards Christianity, towards religion, all kinds of like nasty memes they would post on there. After it ran, after the first day, I was on there every hour. I had to go on there and see just a bunch of people who were, like the mad react or whatever, which, whatever, you want to mad react to something. The reactions, whatever. But it's the comment, you know what I mean? It's nasty, those nasty comments, rude comments, like
uncalled for.
100% slander. You know what I mean? It was like ridiculous. So I thought, how do I handle it? Do I shoot back at these people as the Journey Podcast? Do I shoot back at them as myself? Do I like message their profile or whatever? Or do I just delete it and move on? And
I think that if people don't like it, that means we're doing something right.
Absolutely. I was going to say, anything that you do right, especially as a Christian, anything that you do right or get closer to God in, or when you're promoting Christianity, or and the adversary is out there, so he has to do his job to go against us. Seriously, my thing is, it was posted, and guess what? They responded, regardless of whether it was negative or not. You took the time to come and listen. So that said something
I don't think
in itself.
No. I don't think that they weren't listening. They just seen the ad and were like, why is this on? Why am I seeing this? This is stupid. This is, for lack of better terms, I don't want to say it.
Right. But you're seeing it. The thing is, you're seeing it because, like anything else, people on there fighting, all the other negative stuff that you like to see, it's on there, and it's a positive thing. So, these
comments were not positive. That's my point.
I'm saying we're doing a positive thing.
Sure. I mean, I guess.
But if it was,
my thing is, there wasn't one single positive reaction on there. So my thing is it worth it? Like, the people who commented, who cared enough, obviously were annoyed enough seeing this that they had to leave something nasty behind. We did get a couple of follows out of it, which is great. But it's like, for the amount of negative stuff that was on there, it's like yes, it's worth it. I'm not asking is it worth it or it's not worth it, but it's just that it just shows you the atmosphere on Facebook. You can't.
It's horrible.
It's like if you see something on your newsfeed that you don't like, just tell Facebook I don't want to see this ad anymore. There's a button
scrolling
right on it. Yeah.
But again, people took the energy and their time out of their day to put a comment on the post. That means we are doing something right. There's something that we did that vexed their spirit that they felt that they needed to put in a comment on that post. Because if I see something on my page that I don't like, I either keep scrolling or I straight block them.
Right.
I'll report somebody.
Yeah,
but you know what? This is the other thing.
But it's something that goes against my I would want my spirit, I guess spirituality or something that I don't want to see as a Christian on my newsfeed. Mm-hmm. If it goes against my values, I'm going to block you and I'm gonna
scroll out.
keep scrolling. So that's probably
I wish all people were like that. My point is it's running our first ad. It's just annoying.
Mm-hmm. But you know what? Think about it this way too, because there's certain funeral homes that I've added onto my
Facebook
daily my page, right?
Uh-huh.
So it pops up, and I look at some of the funerals that's on there, and I just was looking at one yesterday, and because the people chose to wear the color black and red, all the comments that was coming up, the live comments that was coming up, I wanted to choke whoever ever. It was like so many people. They must have been in a gang. Did you see the guy with the hat on? They weren't brought up in church. All the negative. It was so much negative stuff at somebody's funeral, this young man's funeral. You don't know how he died. He might have had cancer or anything, but because he was young, and because everybody chose to wear a specific color, maybe that color was his favorite color. Mm-hmm. And now you're talking about gang and all this kind of stuff.
People just love negativity.
They do.
I think they're probably some people are think they're comics. They're
right. And there's another thing.
But they were fighting back and forth. There was other comments that was fighting with the comments, the negative comments. Mm-hmm. And then I thought,
well, that's what it turns into. Somebody makes a joke. They think they're funny by saying, "Oh, what are they in a gang?" Because right, and then somebody gets on there and is offended by that.
Absolutely.
Now the fight starts.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying. Like I could have been offended by these things, and they were offensive. I'm not one to be like cancel culture and everything by any means, but it was offensive. It was terrible things that I had to see on there. Still, the bottom line, I just deleted it, blocked them from the page, and moved on.
Right.
That's it. But it just goes back to my point about I'm not going to get rid of Facebook because I feel like it can be a valuable tool. It can be something that's good. There is, like I said, there's little slithers in there that are good, and especially for keeping up with family or relatives that are distant or you don't see all the time. It's good for that purpose. But just staying connected. But all the other stuff on there that's negative, it's just too much.
But it comes with the territory. We're putting our stuff on social media. We have to kind of be thick-skinned and know that people are going to leave negative things, but we're doing our job. We're putting that seed out there for people to listen to our podcast and wonder who and what we're talking about. So it's going to come with the territory, even if they're not talking about Christianity or a religion. A lot of people deal with this negative things and comments on social media.
And also remember that we are soldiers in God's army. Mm-hmm. And if we retreat and run away, then we are not doing our jobs.
We're doing what the devil wants us to do.
That's right. And that's what he wants us to do. He does not want us to put God's name out. He does not want Jesus to be recognized by anyone. He doesn't. So onward, Christian soldiers, we're going to keep right on marching.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I got to say. To all those who comment negatively, we are praying for you, and Jesus loves you, and we love you.
That's right. Amen.
Okay. Well, settled that, I guess, huh? Julian, what do you think? He's got a lot to say down there.
He's snoring.
He's a snore baby.
He's beautiful, though.
No, whatever you think.
He's pretty cute at 3 a.m. when he's up just looking around and not sleeping.
Mm-hmm. So I saw, speaking of Facebook and all of the craziness the mess you can find on Facebook. I've seen a video, and this topic has come up before in the past, and I've seen and heard many different views and arguments on it. But recently, I saw a video pop up, and it was like one of those. It was like the video, and then like in the bottom corner is like somebody doing like a not a play-by-play of the video, but you know what I mean? It's like something, whatever the video is, and down in the corner, they're like,
commentary.
Yeah, they're like giving the commentary. It was kind of set up like that. And the point of the video was a female was saying, and then like the post on there also explained it. And basically it was like that debate, who gets fed first in the house? Is it the husband or the kids? And obviously the female was giving her take on it, and obviously she was saying, well, not obviously, I'm sorry, but she was saying, I think my kids get fed first in the house.
They do.
They get, now hold on. She said, my kids get fed first in the house, they're the babies, whatever. You're an adult just like me, you can wait. Then my man in the bottom corner of the video takes over, and he is not happy. He goes on this huge rant and is like, I'm the man of the house. You serve me first. I go out there and I work. When I come back, I need to have a hot meal on the table. He's like going on and on. And of course, the comments are flooding with people who are like, who is this guy?
Right. Like, who is he? Because I don't think men understand, even if you're a stay-at-home mom or a working mom, we are in a marriage to serve each other. I'm not here to just serve you. We're here to serve each other. We had these kids together. They're babies. They can't feed themselves. So if I'm cooking dinner, I'm going to sit the kids down. And of course, I'm going to make your plate. But when I make my plate, I'm going to make your plate as well. And we're going to all eat together. But the kids eat first. The kids they get their plates first. Like, what do you mean I'm here to serve you? Like, what are you, my warden or something?
Okay, so my take on this is that the children would eat first, get them out the way, and then you and I can eat together, and we can have a romantic setting between the two of us, and we can talk about
got time for romance.
Hey.
Romance.
We got too many kids for that.
Well, even not. But you know what? The distraction is not there. Not saying that children are distraction in general, but when it comes down to the dinner table, can you eat your peas? Can you do that? Now I've taken away my time with my significant other, my husband, or because every household with children is not, husband and wife.
Right.
And so, like I said, let me get the children out of the way. Not to mention the fact that, yes, you can wait. Must I serve you, the children, and then I sit down at the last minute?
There's been times where I don't eat. Right. If I have to, there's been times when I cook dinner, I make everyone's plate. And by the time that I sit down, after I done got the kids sat down with their food, gave you your food, I get ready to sit down, somebody's asking for juice. Somebody didn't drop their fork. Somebody didn't drop their spoon. Somebody spilled their juice. You asking to get in the refrigerator for some more juice. Like, when does it stop?
Absolutely.
So, I like your idea when you're saying, okay, feed the kids first, because we've done that before, Brandon, where we feed the kids first and then we sit down and eat because we don't want them asking for our food. Because it's like, regardless of the fact we all have the same food on our plates, you just think my food looks better on my plate than it does on yours.
That's how children are, though. Yeah.
So we've done that before, but the whole stigma of the woman serves the man first and you serve him, I just think is really outdated. And I don't think gender roles.
I don't think there's
how about I cook and then you just serve us?
Right.
What?
Well, how does it work when you come home sometime, Brandon, and you cook dinner? So do you serve me and then you serve the kids?
Ooh, good question.
Well, I think the argument comes down to it being the man of the house.
Right. But that comes down to gender roles.
He feels entitled.
You can't be entitled.
Because he goes and brings home the bacon.
And what do I do?
So the bacon should be on the table.
And what does she do?
I'm bringing it home.
But what does she do?
I think that's where that argument comes from.
She's keeping up with, say she's a stay-at-home mom. She stays home. She's keeping the house clean. She's making sure the kids aren't killing each other. She's making sure doctor's appointments are made. She's making sure the bills are paid, because when you're bringing the money in, obviously, but she's keeping
The
records
budget
of
person.
budgeting and going grocery shopping and doing the cooking. And then on top of that, if you say you're a working mom, you're going to work from 9 to 5, and then you're still coming home and having to cook and clean and take care of the kids. But because all you did was go to work, you think that you should come home and sit down and your food be served to you on a gold platter.
Like, about no golden platter.
But that's what he's making it seem like. Oh, I'm the man in the house. I bring in the bacon. Okay, I think the hugest stigma of the roles in a family is because I provide financially, I deserve more respect. But the woman of the house, if she doesn't, I'm not saying if she doesn't work, but if she's that stay-at-home mom, she provides emotionally to the entire family. Like, she takes on all the kids' emotions. She's trying to be the best wife to her husband. She's trying to be the best mother to her kids. Like, why doesn't what she do matter as much as the man? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's my argument.
Okay. Yeah, you sure had your argument.
I'm just saying.
I know.
These gender roles got to go. Because like I said in the beginning, like, in a marriage, one person's not there to just serve the other and the other one doesn't do anything. We're here in this marriage to serve each other and to make sure the other person is taken care of.
Wow.
That's my take.
So I thought about it a little bit. Mm-hmm. And let's say there is someone who has no problem with serving the husband first their food. Let's say we take that same situation and let's go to a relative's house. Let's go to Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner, right? Mm-hmm. You believe that your husband should be served first, or the husband believes he should be served first, right? Mm-hmm. But now you're at someone else's house. That mm-hmm. I mean, does that would he be out of line to be like, you know,
where's my plate?
Oh, I like this one. You know, because in our family, before I became an adult, mm-hmm. in our family, Thanksgiving dinners or whatever dinners, that big dinners that we would have, my grandmother and my aunts and them, they would feed
their men.
No, it's not even so much the men per se.
Mm-hmm.
The men they were involved, yes. But they would serve the guest first. And all the kids had to go somewhere and play until the guests got finished eating. All the adults, I'll put it like that, not the guests, because the guests could be, bring their children or whatever. And all the adults were the ones that were served at the table, and then the children had to wait until they were finished eating. I changed that when I was started hosting dinners and things. I changed it because I felt like the children should eat, get them out of the way. Number one is because adults can do without. So let's get these kids fed and then let them go play, fall out and go to sleep and all that other good stuff. And then we can have our time as adults. Not to mention the fact that the adults would sit at the table, they would eat, and then they would talk.
Yeah.
Sit and talk. So now the kids sitting up there starving, they acting out, and then they getting smacked upside their head because they acting out and fussed at and whatnot because they're hungry. Mm-hmm. And then more recently, Brandon, with your grandma pointing things out on the kitchen committee, all that talking over top of the food and all this spittle all over the food and stuff. Now you got the kids eating all your nasty spittle. No. Feed them, get their plates together, get them and put them to the side somewhere, let them eat, and then we have our time. We can spit all over the food all we want and eat each other's spit.
Right.
Whoa.
Whoa.
You
know what I mean? And that's what it just makes a lot of sense to feed the children and let them go play and have a good time while we sit around and shoot the breeze.
Right, play cards.
Yes.
You know how adults are. They eat, they want to sit and talk about
nothing.
The kids, everything like that.
On his eyes. About nothing. They don't be talking about the kids. They be over there gossiping. That's what they be doing, talking about nothing, drinking and carrying on and boom, shaka boom. No. No.
Oh, but to answer your question, well, go off of what Miss Tanya was saying. Honestly, I it's based off of what you and your partner decide you guys want to do in your marriage. That's a conversation needed to be had. Okay, do you want me as a wife to serve you first, or are you okay?
So what if I do, but you have a problem with that?
Then that's a conversation we need to have. I'm not doing that.
It's not a conversation.
Yes,
it's
it
not
is.
A conversation.
It's already settled. You're not eating
I'm
first.
not doing
It's not
that.
gonna be a conversation then.
But
You're not
Brandon,
doing
no,
it.
but then again, it's like I'm not saying every single time you're gonna eat last. Like it's not that. I'm saying okay. Most cases when we get home from work and the kids are unsettled and they're acting crazy and they're running around the house, I like Miss Tanya said, I want to just get them down, let them eat their food, get baths done, and get them in the bed. But there's been special occasions where I'm like trying to make your plate, and most of the time you don't even want me to make your plate.
I mean, yeah. Talking about me specifically, no, I don't care.
But and then again, that's what I'm saying. It's based off of the couple and what the couple wants to do.
I'm saying just the argument's sake. You were saying, oh, that's a conversation that needs to be had, but the conversation stops because you don't want to serve him first.
I don't.
You don't want to serve him first.
I do not.
Well,
I think it depends on the occasion. If you see me trying to get the kids settled down, don't expect me to drop what I'm doing to serve you your plate.
So you don't have a problem with it depending on the circumstances.
Yes. Yes.
Well, you know
There
what?
you go.
Maybe that's a discussion that people should have when they are dating.
Dating or getting premarital counseling.
Who thinks about that though? That's not something. I mean, we're bringing it up here, so hopefully somebody will listen to it and maybe it will help someone.
Right.
But
Yeah. Why argue
that's not
about it
something-
later when you can settle it beforehand? That might be a deal breaker for somebody. You
Yeah.
know? Oh, really? No, I don't want to date you anymore. You're not
Well,
marriage worthy.
I don't really know how to date because Brandon was the only person I've been with. So, but speaking of dating, aren't you in the dating world now, Miss Tanya?
No,
No?
absolutely not.
Oh, okay. So would you
I am not dating anyone. I'm presently not dating anyone. Have
Oh.
not been dating anyone for some time.
Why?
I just have not. My focus is somewhere different,
Mm-hmm.
and honestly speaking, I'm kind of afraid of the dating world these days. It's so much going on.
It's scary.
It's very
It's
scary.
crazy out here in these streets.
It's very scary.
I'm happy that I found Brandon when I did because I don't think I would have done well on the dating scene. I like my heart's too big. Yeah.
Yes, and it gets broken a
It
lot,
gets
and after a
broken,
while,
yeah.
it shatters to the point where you just you don't. Some people don't even come back from that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some people don't come back from it. Like I said, I've just been busy, so I don't think about it.
You don't. Would
if-
you be open to it if you found someone that you were interested in?
Actually, Bree, I am not trying to find anyone. God said that He would bring me.
Well, there you go. If someone,
If
presented
God
themselves
sent
to
somebody
you.
after I pray about it and get a confirmation from God and not from everybody else, then yes, I would be very open to it.
Okay, how you feel?
the Lord will bring him to your footstep. Your footstool. What's that saying?
No, your enemies are
Your
your
enemies
footstool.
is your footstool.
No.
Wrong,
Yeah.
wrong verse. Right?
No. I mean, like, you're expecting someone to just show up in front of your face.
And the Lord can do it.
That's
Keep
right.
I'm not
praying
saying
about
you
it.
can't. I'm asking for clarification on what she just said. That's all.
The Lord can bring.
Like you're not going to do any looking. You don't have to go
No.
on the.
You
She
don't
wants,
have to go.
She wants somebody to
What's
present
that called?
themselves
eHarmony?
to her.
You don't go. Are
She
you
is
on
no,
eHarmony?
no.
eHarmony.
eHarmony.
Been there, done that, and not eHarmony, but Black Planet and all of that.
Oh,
Black
black people meet.
Black people meet Planet. Somebody fish. Somebody
Christian
go.
Mingle.
No, I've never been on.
Go to Christian Mingle. I've heard a lot of people that.
They are the worst.
We're gonna set you up with a Christian Mingle profile.
They
Don't worry.
are the worst.
No, how?
That's right. Absolutely.
Absolutely not.
How?
Wait, this is the thing. Even when I was on Black People Meet and Fish or Go Fish or whatever it was, and I didn't put those profiles up. Somebody else put the profiles up and then told me about it later. And then the knuckleheads that I met on there, I met some nice people that I'm still friends with. Even with them even being guys, but come on now, listen.
It's a no for me, dog.
It's a no. It's a no.
I don't understand.
You don't.
Y'all heard it out there.
It's a woman thing.
Y'all heard it out there. If you see me on some Christian mingle, know that Brandon Hargrove Sr. put me on there.
It was not her.
It was not me. Just make sure that my picture is cute, though.
Well,
there you go.
I'm just going to use something that's on Facebook.
Use the one that she had from Facebook.
I wouldn't start a dating profile without your permission. I mean, that's like catfish territory.
Yes. You know what? And that's the thing. When I was on Black People Meet and whatever, the other ones, I've never tried to catfish anyone. I've always been me.
Catfishing is set aside for people with like mental...
they have personality or identity
mental issues.
Identity.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's why people catfish, like, because there's something wrong. Like,
because they're not happy with themselves.
They're doing that to fill a void or to make themselves feel better because, you know, they were bullied as a kid or they, you know, were in a really bad relationship, so then they take it out on someone else through a catfish. So I wouldn't
really bad
expect you to catfish
issues.
Somebody, you know. But it does happen.
On the flip side of that, I'm not talking about as far as their profiles or what they look like, but some people will say to build themselves up in other areas, and then they know they ain't never been bungee jumping. So why they saying over there bungee jumping?
I'm a CEO of whatever company, and you know stuff like that.
Just
like
crazy
lying about
stuff. Yeah, just lying for what? No, here I am. Take me as I am, or don't take me at all. And you know what? I'll take me. I'll take myself.
I'm a what's your company? A little group name? Charger.
SIC, Sisters in Chargers.
She's a sister in charge.
Sisters in Chargers. Yeah.
Unapologetically.
There
you go.
Shout out to my sisters.
Yes. So let's talk about first dates, right? So what are some things that Brandon, particularly to you, that you are afraid to do on the first date?
How am I supposed to answer that question? I haven't been on a first date in 10 years.
Okay, well, think back. Think back. Because I'm thinking about the last time we went out to eat, and I remember I had, we were in the date almost an hour and a half at this point, right? He finally goes, like, what's on your face? And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? So I pull up my phone, and I see this huge smudge of makeup on my face. After sitting there with him for an hour, he's like, yeah, you got a smudge on your face. I'm like, okay, well, like, when were
That's
you
when I
gonna tell
noticed
me?
it.
That's
I
when
said
you
something when I noticed it.
Uh-huh.
He was looking into your eyes the whole time, Bray. He wasn't worried about what was on your face.
No, it wasn't.
He was looking at the cornbread on the table. That's what he was looking at.
Yeah, it was nice.
No,
I mean, that's when I noticed it. But to talk about a first date, I don't know. That's a whole different level of jitters and nervousness.
So, like, put yourself
for someone who is nervous like me.
It really is.
Were you nervous our first date?
I don't remember.
How
long have we been together?
I was. I remember we went to Applebee's, and I remember I was in high school, and I was like making it a big deal at school because it's my first date ever. Like, first guy to ask me on a date, and I was like, I'm so scared. I don't know if I could eat in front of him and what to order.
Yeah.
And I got there and like completely forgot everything. Like I wasn't nervous at all. We got there. I think we got like the boneless wings, stuff we get to this day. Every time we go, we get the same thing, and I had no jitters at all.
I remember going on my first date with Jesse, and we went to whatever. Y'all can think what you want, but we went to McDonald's. We were grown
That's a cute
people.
date.
Look, I know you were gonna snicker on it.
Hey, you better get that dollar menu.
It was my choice, and that's where I wanted to go.
This
was
is
to McDonald's.
McDonald's in the 60s?
Mickey D's.
Yeah, pretty much. But no, it wasn't in the 60s.
50s?
But
70s.
No,
The
it was in
50s.
the 90s.
40s?
Brandon.
80s. It was in the 80s, actually, 80s. But I wanted to go to McDonald's, and we were going out afterwards. So we get to McDonald's, and as you said, you're scared to eat or order, for that matter. And I got there, and I ordered, I just wanted a little salad. And he said, salad? Girl, you better get something to eat. And I said, well, I whispered to him that I wanted a Big Mac.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's when I was eating beef.
So Big Mac.
A Big Mac. I wanted a Big Mac.
When I ate McDonald's, that was my sandwich.
When I got the Big Mac, he ordered like 2 cheeseburgers and 2 hamburgers, a Big Mac for him, a Big Mac for me. He had this crazy appetite. He was not fat at all, but he had this crazy appetite, and then he made it seem like I was going to eat most of that stuff. That was the joke of it, for him. That was his little icebreaker joke. And even with that being said, we went and took our food somewhere to go eat, and I threw away over half of that Big Mac because I was really scared to eat in front of him. And so, needless to say, the rest of the date, I was hungry as ever.
I would have ate that sandwich.
I wanted to go back to the trash and get it out.
I would have ate that sandwich.
Oh, man.
At least give me a large fry.
But
Like, if you're trying to be cute, give me a large fry with a large
He learned later on.
soda.
He learned later on. Oh, my God. What did I get myself into? He learned a whole lot.
Get a cheesesteak with mushrooms.
And look, and a Diet Pepsi, please.
And then, there you go. You gotta make it diet.
And make a Diet Pepsi.
Is that supposed to help?
I don't need too much sugar. I don't need too much sugar.
in there. I'm trying to watch my weight, girl.
Yeah.
Actually, I was thinking about cutting sugar out of my diet. Not completely, because, everything has sugar. But, the big stuff like candy, soda. Don't me.
Mr. Swedish Fish King.
Ooh.
That's your
Are
thing.
you being funny?
That's your thing.
So I'll take those back because I got you a bag.
You're not taking me my
No,
candy.
you want to talk about
I don't
them.
need to cut back sugar.
Anyway.
It ain't my choice.
What? Oh. That's what happens.
I tell you.
Go ahead, just say it.
So, yeah, we're not going to be fighting. We are not Swedish Fish.
Yeah, this is my therapy. I
The
get to say what I
domestic
need to say.
issues of the Hargrove
This is what I need to
Seniors.
say. What I have to say, because Miss Tanya here, she can vouch for me. She's the other woman in the group.
Okay.
Yeah, she's gonna take my side.
No, that's not a guarantee.
Wait now.
That's not a
It is.
guarantee.
It is a guarantee.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
So we're going to say,
Maybe I won't cut
you
sugar out of
know
my
what?
diet then.
Why
don't
not?
cut sugar out your diet then.
Do it.
Go on.
No, because you want to be all negative about it. I'm not going to do it
I think it'll
anymore.
be really good for you. Go ahead and
That'd
cut
be
it
good for
out.
you too. You need to do it with me.
I have a question for you guys
I'll pray about it.
about this first date thing.
Mhm.
Do you think that people should kiss on the first date?
Lord, you were asking the wrong people.
Yeah, we don't know. We were like,
I don't know.
Miss
I don't
Tanya,
know.
when
Did you guys kiss on the first date?
No.
No.
Miss Tanya, when I say like he was the first person I held hands with, the first date I had, the first guy who like,
That's not true.
yes, it was.
No, it's not.
That's not true.
No.
Brandon, you were like
you were with someone else before
oh,
me.
yeah. I remember that.
Dun,
You're
dun,
just going to
dun.
forget.
I forgot because it wasn't important. You were the important one.
Mm-hmm.
My true love.
Mm-hmm. Anyway.
This is how you.
I don't
make
know.
up
I
people.
think I think maybe the first date is a little too soon for a
Mhm.
kiss.
Yeah, because you don't really know the person.
But I also think maybe that is I don't want to say a little old school, but I feel like things progress a lot faster nowadays.
When you get physical.
in moderate time.
Yeah, I think you should leave the physical aspect of relationship out until you know the person intellectually and emotionally. You know, most
That's
people.
too long.
No, it's not.
That's too long.
No, it's not.
That you
Okay.
know that can take 5 years.
All right, so listen.
I'm not gonna kiss you for 5 years.
Listen
You
to my
know-
logic. Listen.
Okay.
People put on a front for the first month of the relationship because they want to give you their fairy tale version of themselves. After, I guess you can use the 90 day trick if you want to. After that, people start getting tired of holding up that persona of the person that they're not, and they start showing their true colors. From then, you can, decide what you want to do.
Do you know that people are still learning each other even
I'm still
even
learning
after
them.
marriage? Yeah,
Oh,
even
yeah.
after marriage.
I'm not
and
saying
stuff,
that they're
so,
they're gonna tell you the whole person they are, but they're gonna show you their true colors. You don't know how many times it's like, okay, well, I went on a date with this person, or I heard from friends I went on a date with this person and we kissed and da da da. And a week later, they're like, oh, they only wanted this from me, they only wanted that from me, but the date was perfect. They were, lived up to all their expectations.
Yeah.
They told them exactly what they wanted to hear. But people will show their true colors after a period of time.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's my logic on the
Brandon,
topic.
I have a question for you.
Hmm.
This is a guy question. It just kind of popped in my head. how long do you think that? How much time do you think a guy would? In what amount of time would a guy look at someone that he's dating and say, "Oh yeah, she's the one"?
I think it definitely depends. I've heard firsthand, like friends of mine.
Answer the question, Brand.
This is not a personal thing about you.
No,
this is just a man's
I
thing.
wanna know.
You look like.
You gotta answer is right.
Your answer, fool. Anyway, I've heard friends of mine who say they knew very early on, within the first couple of dates of the person that they're with now,
Really?
that they're the one. Now that particular friend hasn't proposed or not engaged or whatever. They're still just dating, but he fully intends on making her the one. And he told me that he knew very early on. I think it I think it just depends. In hindsight, as I look back on it, obviously Bree was the one for me very early on. I don't think I can't tell you because we've been together for so long. It's been 10 years or plus that we've been together.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I can't think back that far to give you a definite answer like, oh, I knew on the first date she was the one. I don't know. I was a kid.
Yeah.
But looking back at it now, it was it's obvious that
Right.
we were made for each other. So I think it depends on the situation, but I think more often than not, guys will tend to say very early on, or make their decision very early on. And I think for females, for girls, it's the same way. They may feel a certain way about a guy, like I like him, or I like something that he did on the first couple of dates, or something that was shown to them that they say
stuck with them.
That's
I
the
remember
one.
when I think our relationship went to another level, and you said something that kind of like stuck with me, that I realized, okay, like he's not going anywhere. It was right after we graduated high school, and we were broken up for like a year and a half or so, and somehow we got reconnected, and you texted me. I was going through a rough time. You texted me and asked me how I was doing, but during this time, like, we hadn't talked for like a long time, like we didn't like each other. And he found out what was going on with me, and he sent me a text and asked me how I was doing and was checking on me, and then asked me on a date. And he was like right off the bat with it. I'm like, I have not talked to you in a whole year and a half, and you're going to ask me out? And he took me out, and we had fun. And I realized, okay, well, this guy's kind of my best friend. I don't have any more. So that's when I realized we were like, it just stuck to me that you reached out to me regardless of the fact that we weren't on good terms for that whole year.
I look at some situations where people would date and date and date and date for years and years
and never find somebody.
Well, they just date for, it didn't get married 20 years later, maybe.
Yeah.
And then there's some guys that know within, a week or 2 or 2 months that this is who I want, and I need to make this person my wife now.
Do you think those people who date for 20 plus years are afraid of titles?
Commitment.
I think people that are in relationships for that long and don't get married, they have very specific reasons why. They
just don't say it?
I think it depends. No, they might say it and might be in agreement with it. Like, there's no way you can't be in a 20-year relationship and not be married and not be in agreement with the other person about, the status of your relationship and what you're going to be doing. Like, they have, I think it depends on the couple. But yeah, they're it's something that's very specific to each couple that, they decide that, they don't, it may be because they don't want a title. They don't. I think it's probably the most common thing that I hear about couples that are in a relationship for that long and don't get married. I think it's strictly based on that couple specifically and what they think. But yeah, there's no way you're in a 15, 20-year relationship and not on the same page, because there's people that are in a 5-month relationship and it's like, when we get married, and the other person's like, what? Like, that happens very early on. So
yeah, I guess you're right. I guess you're right.
So I saw a video online This was after, I was scrolling Facebook, and this is like a couple of days after I seen that first one about who gets fed first. There was a female on there, a woman, who was talking about being recently separated from her husband, and she was saying that even though she's separated, they're getting a divorce, she still fully expects him to keep up with his financial responsibilities that he had when he was living there, i.e. the mortgage, the utility bills, like whatever she was saying. It, I think the main one was the mortgage.
But he moved out and she stayed there.
But I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Because why?
They have children, and I think the article said that she was the one who was in the wrong and caused the separation. Like there was infidelity. So it wasn't like they agreed to leave. She, wasn't faithful to their marriage and caused the marriage to break up. So she was saying, but regardless, he's left me here with, his kids, and he's decided to move out. She never wanted him to leave. He decided to move out, and she still expects him to pay the bills in
I
the
think
house.
regardless of the reason, if you're separated and one party is no longer living in the house, why would you still be responsible for the bills?
Again, it depends on the circumstance. It'd be different if you both decided this marriage isn't working anymore. It'll be best if we separated. We can be adults about this. I'm going to move out. I'll help you with this amount, these bills until you're able to take them over on your own, or I'll help you get a new apartment. That's a conversation we should have, because at one point we were in this marriage together, and these are our kids. I know that you can't hold on to these burdens of bills by yourself. But if you are the cause of this breakup and you are being unfaithful in this marriage, you're going to have to handle this on your own. I'm leaving. You made this choice on your own. You knew stepping out on this marriage, you couldn't provide for yourself. You shouldn't have done that. That's my take. How about you, Miss Tanya?
I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
If you're the one that went out there stepping around and messing around, then that's on you. And you took on the responsibility of being able to take care of everything by yourself. However, when it comes down to our children, I will provide for our children. I will do what I'm supposed to do as far as our child or children is concerned. But you thought the grass was greener on the other side, right. So you used to go on in there and lay on in that grass.
But that would, okay, about the children, fine. But that's like, specifically things about the children. I'm not going to pay the mortgage.
No,
if I move out,
if my kids are not going to,
I'll buy them clothes or
put on the street because you're not able to pay the mortgage. I'm not doing it. If you're able to do this on your own and not,
right.
If you're able to do this to the point where you're saying, oh, I don't have any extra money to spend after I pay all the bills, that's too bad. That's your decision you made. But obviously, if you don't have enough money to sustain the bills on your own, and the kids are in jeopardy of going without lights or going without water, of course I'm going to help with the bills because my kids are in jeopardy or my kids are involved. That's
you. For me, once again, if he chose to step away from the marriage because she committed adultery, or she out there doing her thing, then like you said, my children will not suffer behind this. However, you are on your own. You chose this.
Right.
You chose this. So no, I would not be paying the mortgage and all of that kind of stuff, especially if I know that you can handle it.
You can, right.
If I know that you can handle it, no, I'm not doing all of those things. But I'm not going to allow my children to suffer. So in that aspect, my children can come and live with me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's how I feel about it.
If that's your big concern.
Think about this. I can pay mortgage and be over here. I need to be the farthest away from you as I can. I can pay mortgage and so on and so forth. And then come to find out, 6 months down the road, Henry was living in the house that I'm paying the mortgage at.
There you go.
And
he ain't paying a dime.
You done told the kids don't say nothing to me as far as that's concerned, because what's done in this house, stay in the house or whatever. So the kids have now opened up to me because you've made them think that bad of me.
Yep.
No. Pay the mortgage on your own. You can handle it. Mm-hmm. And if you can't handle it, kids, y'all come and stay with me. I'll take full responsibility of them until you're able to provide for them.
Yeah.
And then we can do this together as far as co-parenting together. But no.
You made your bed, now lay in it.
No, right. That's right. And the Bible does say that, that is the, infidelity is the only thing that you should be able to get the divorce from. If someone says, I can't handle this, I don't want to.
I was thinking about, after watching that video, I thought, well, kind of what other issues could come up in that scenario where, you have a divorced couple who is separating. And then I thought, well, the dad would be out of the house. And I feel like, maybe traditionally, you can tell me if I'm wrong, I feel like the father plays more of the disciplinary role than maybe mom does in most situations.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, he's out of the picture, right? Well, not out of the picture, but he's out of the house.
Right.
He may still be involved in the kid's life, but he's not in the house. So what happens if the kids now start to act out more because that disciplinary figure is not there anymore?
Right.
Do you think, like, how does mom handle that? Does she, obviously, I figure in most scenarios, dad probably wouldn't be, like, what's she going to call him every time they act up? You need to come over and get your kids.
Yes.
No, I don't live there anymore.
Yes.
How does she?
It shouldn't be that way. Your marriage and your relationship has nothing to do with your kids. That comes down to being mature, and your divorce and your co-parenting relationship. If I have an issue,
but you can't expect me to come over to the house.
Why not? Or at least
every time the kids are bad.
At least talk to them over the phone. At least something. Because I don't think that's right. I don't think it's right for the one parent to have to, bear all of the issues with the kids because they live with them.
I think that's where you said that the marriage and the kids don't have anything to do with each other. I think that's where those paths cross.
They do.
You now have, a harder time trying to parent by yourself most of the time when you're at home with the kids because the marriage didn't work out.
Right.
So
who
I think they are related, but I thought, well, let's say she has like a brother, or maybe her dad is like involved in her life heavily. Does she call like her sibling or her dad over to try and be the disciplinary of the kids? Does she just deal with it herself? Does she call you over to the house every single time the kid's being bad, or call you up? Like, how, I thought, how do you deal with that?
Actually, the both parents should be able to have a specific kind of relationship when it comes down to disciplining their children. You have to have your own relationship with your child that they respect what you say or do, and this way you don't have to call on this one or that one. However, to say that this is what's happening in all households, absolutely not.
It ain't happening here.
Absolutely not. For some, children should not be afraid, but should reverence their parents.
Their parents, right.
Not be afraid.
Right.
All right. So mom she need to get herself together and stop saying, wait till your dad gets home. I think that used to be a movie back in the day before my time. Right. But wait till your dad gets home. He's going to do, no, you handle that. You take care of that. And vice versa. Now, when it comes down to somebody else outside of the parents themselves disciplining your children, you don't know exactly how they are going to handle that. I certainly, if I was younger or my children were younger, I certainly would not want someone else spanking my kids or punishing my kids because they're not going to do what I did. You know what I mean? It might not come from love. It might not come from love. Now, if you do, on the other hand, have a brother or sister or the grandparent is a loving grandparent, and they're going, and you know this, and then they can certainly back you, but it's your duty. It is your duty as a parent to have that kind of relationship with your kid to know when enough is enough. You've gone too far.
Yeah. So can I interject for what you're saying, because I see both sides of the situation. So like I am a mom of 3 boys, right? I'm not saying I myself don't discipline my kids, and that they listen to me if I tell them to do something or get down or stop that. But there's been times where, okay, you know how we have kids where I have to tell you 1,000,000 times to stop doing the one thing that I said to stop doing, but when Dad says it's done in one shot, that's certain incidents that I deal with my boys. So certain times it's like after I done told you 10 times and you didn't got put in time out, you didn't got yelled at, you didn't got put time out again. Oh, I'm gonna call your dad. That's my situation. Like you taking me to that point where now I have to get Dad involved. You messed up.
But you know what? Dad's voice. When Dad talks, it sounds like a booming sound to kids.
Yes. My kids,
as opposed to
that.
Right.
They
so
do.
Now guess what? You got to get that boom in your voice. You don't have Bree.
No.
Bree, Cedar Hargrove.
Go ahead.
You don't have
name
that
all wrong.
Huh?
Name all wrong.
The other way around.
Hargrove
Cedar. You do not have a boom in your voice. Sorry.
There's times where they can take me there.
But I think that's the good part about
they don't listen.
That's the good part about having both parents in the house is that she doesn't have to do that. I feel like, you know what I mean.
But we're talking about an absent parent from the home.
Okay, well, yeah.
So now she has to take. If the children are with her,
she
has to take on that role.
But that's hard for me if I've never had to. If say that was our situation and I've never had to physically. Well, I never had to be the.
Authority.
I'm technically the authority, but they don't. Not. Stop it! I'm just saying.
Okay,
you know what I mean. I can't be the threat. Like, oh, I'm gonna call your mom. They're gonna be like, okay, well, call it in. Let's tell her to come pick me up. Tell her to bring me some Chick-fil-A. Like, I'm not the person that they can say they're gonna call and they be like, oh snap, they're gonna call my mom. Like, it depends on what they do. That I can call them and be stern and talk to them and tell them I'm disappointed in them, and they be upset because I told them how they make me feel. That you make me mad, you make me sad, I'm disappointed in you.
See,
but Dad,
you make me sad. Listen, I'm gonna tell you, working at the daycare, when I was at the daycare, it's crazy and it's funny in a way and it's sad in a way to say that a lot of the children that had a behavioral adjustment that needed to be taken care of, when I spoke to them, it was snap, crackle, pop, no problem. But my mom come here, or they would be in there pleading with him. Come on, now.
I don't do that.
Yeah. And
I don't do that.
And
That's
I would
not me.
And I would snap my fingers, pop, pop.
That's not me.
Right here now, and they would just jump to it.
But that's not me. I'm not like, oh, okay, come on, baby, you my baby. I'm not that parent.
I've seen them.
I promise.
Not you.
No,
I
see what you're saying. I know being in child care as well. There's those parents whose child is off the chain and they come in here talking about he's my baby, he can do no wrong. That's not me. I'm not in denial of any of my children's behavior. I know that they are difficult at times, and I do have that stern voice when needed be, but because I am the emotional parent as well, they know that they can come and cuddle with me and hug on me and love on me all the time. Like, it's harder for them to, when I do get that, get over here right now, it takes a couple times for them to be like, all right, well, she's not playing. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. But when Dad, regardless of the fact that they can hug and cuddle on Dad and love on Dad, like you said, his voice is more like, all right, let me snap out of it. Dad just raised his voice at me and let me get it together. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But to answer Brandon's question, it depends on the relationship that the kids have with those other relatives, like you said. But I've seen firsthand, I'm going to, I guess, tell a story of my older brother, Marquise. He had just graduated high school, and he was like, always getting into arguments with my mom, like not really, doing what he needed to be doing at home, really slick at the mouth and things like that. And my uncle, who lives in Atlanta, Georgia, had came down to visit, And at the time, my mom was telling him all the stuff that was going on with him and his grades and everything like that, and how he was doing going into college. And him and my uncle got into this huge argument, and it ended up turning into this big fight.
Right.
But he took it to a level that it didn't need to go. My uncle did, because he was defending my mom in a sense of, that's my sister. You're disrespecting my sister, not coming out of love of, I'm going to like talk to you and discipline you out of you being my nephew. He was trying to defend my mom. So it turned into a physical thing instead of it being disciplined out of love, like you mentioned.
Absolutely.
So I don't think it all depends on the relationship between the parents and the family members. Like I would say, I trust my mom and my sisters to discipline my kids just as well. I'd trust your sisters disciplining them if it ever came down to it. But I wouldn't trust my brothers, because they're boys, and they, in their heads, they think that they're defending their sister, and boys think with like fighting. They think I'm more masculine than you. If you want to sit here and act out and fight in school or do whatever, then
Now, I had a friend whose wife's sister's boys were all over the place, and I mean really, really all over the place.
Yeah,
and they took those two boys on into their home. Her husband, who had no attachment biologically to these two boys, he took them under his wing. He moved them into his home, and they are doing magnificent stuff.
Sometimes they need that. They need
magnificent stuff. So, there's always an exception to the rule. Yeah. But you have to, like you said, it's not just about the relationship between the siblings, again, versus one of the siblings' kids acting out. It's all about the relationship that the uncle and the nephew had, or the niece and the aunt had.
Oh yeah,
you got to look at that too. Yeah. Look at the aspect.
I think it partly comes down to kind of how they're coming with themselves, how they're presenting themselves. Do I call my sibling over and then they come, really aggressively, or like they come, and trying to like, if they're younger kids, like try and do like I'm going to spank you for not listening
to your mom.
And you know what I mean? They come like that, like real aggressive. Mm-hmm. That never is okay. That never is going to win. But like in that case, if they come with love in their heart, they come, with an understanding spirit and they come from that aspect, there shouldn't be a problem with it.
Right.
That should work.
Because the child knows that person in the sense that they know that they love them, and then what the discipline is coming out of love. Like if Dejanay was to come over and yell at one of the kids, or it's Dejanay.
No. Like,
my sister. I'm sorry. If my sister Dejanay was to come over and discipline one of the kids, they know that's my TTO snap. She not playing. Let me get my stuff together. You know what I mean? Because they have a personal relationship with her. She's just not some random person I called over because I was expressing how frustrated I was with my kids. She's not no random person coming over to yell at my kids.
Can you imagine if the boyfriend?
The
new boy, like
she
gets a new boyfriend,
and
he's over the house.
Definitely not.
That's a definite no.
Out.
Absolutely not.
No. You put your hands on my kids.
However, let me just say this: no, you're not putting your hands on my kids. No, you're not gonna be screaming and carrying on them. You're gonna respect my kids. My kids are gonna respect you. So that's both ways. Now that he's in the picture, you're not going to be disrespectful because your dad is no longer in the picture. Well, you're not my dad. All I asked you to do was such and such and such, son. You're not my dad. Don't call me. No. There's a form of respect.
Yeah.
A form of, especially if the new boyfriend is going to, I'm now engaged to him. No.
Do you think that comes down to a bigger conversation between the divorced parents and the new spouses? Like, regardless of the fact that me and mommy are not together, this is whoever, he's an adult or he or she is an adult, you need to respect them and what they tell you to do.
Yeah.
Like, that comes down to having that conversation
That comes down to the three of you or the four of you, however many it is, because the ex-husband could possibly have a new girlfriend or a new fiance or whatever, and we all four of us might be in that type of a relationship, but we all need to sit down and we need to discuss between ourselves first, and then we need to sit Junior or Princess down, and we need to talk to them, all four of us, to let them know that we're in agreement with one another in your upbringing. And this is coming out of love and respect for one and each other. We're all on the same page. And you got to be able to basically trust each other, the four of you, trust each other to know that everyone has Junior's or little Princess's best interest in their upbringing at hand.
Right.
I know someone who was in that exact situation. Now, they weren't married, and I feel like this put a huge burden on that entire subject and on both of their relationships because, we had the new couple, girlfriend and boyfriend, right? Mm-hmm. Now, she had a kid, obviously, in a previous relationship. They were never married, and neither are the new couple. They're not married either. But they had a really hard time with, I don't want to say like a derogatory term by like saying baby dad, but like, the baby dad was not feeling the new relationship because now and he had a daughter. It was a girl, so I feel like maybe you'd be more protective over your girl.
Rightly so.
So I think in theory that's great, and that should be how it is. Open communication, I think, wins every time, especially in a relationship like that where you have all these levels of things going on. I think it's much harder because I've seen it firsthand. It's much harder to do that if it isn't like an established relationship. If you're walking into a new relationship and you're leaving an old relationship that you weren't really necessarily tied down to them other than having a kid. You weren't married.
Right.
You know what I mean? So now that makes it even harder, especially when you don't start off with that. Like, I think that is something that should happen. That should happen right away, off the bat. Off the bat, we need to sit down.
I was in a marriage like that with three young men, with three young boys. My first marriage. I was married to a man who had 3 sons already, and I had no children, of course. And I respected their mom. She didn't even know me, and I didn't know her, but just out of the fact that he had 3 sons, I respected her. So when she met me face to face, because when we would go to pick the boys up from the house, I would always sit in the car. I would never get out the car. I didn't invite myself into her home. And one night, we went to go pick up the boys, and it happened to be on a snowy night. And she asked my husband where I was at. And he said, she's in the car. And she came out on the porch, and she hollered, come in the house. And she said, don't you ever sit out in the car like that. That was my way of meeting her, which was crazy. And I told her, I said, well, I don't invite myself. She said, and I understand that, but I want you to come in the house. And so from that point on, she and I had a relationship with one another where I respected her. She respected me. There was times that she would have to work late and the boys would be, unattended. And she would call me and say, I want to know if I could bring the boys. It wouldn't be our weekend to have the boys. I want to know if I could bring the boys and you watch them and I'll pay you. You don't have to pay me anything. I'm their stepmom. That's fine. And because of the relationship that we had, forget him, the husband, but the relationship she and I had, we were able to she had the custody of him, but we raised them together. If I put him on punishment, she would say, oh, so Tanya had to put you on punishment, huh? Well, you're on double punishment. When
that's how you
the
do
middle
it.
one, when the middle son, her middle son turned 50 years old, I was at his birthday party like a couple of years ago. I was at his birthday party, and I paid homage to her first before I paid homage to him.
Yeah. And
thanked her for allowing me to be in their life to help raise them and everything. And it was like, it brought tears to her eyes, and I didn't do it I did it out of from my heart because I meant what I was saying, not to get accolades from anybody else. Though with me saying the things that I did say, I looked and people were standing up. So it made me emotional as well. They were standing up, clapping to what I had said to her. That particular kid was the worst kid she had. He was the worst. Oh my goodness. There was many times that I wanted to just take a switch and just light him up, but I said, no, Mm-hmm. And his dad was the disciplinarian, but he's turned out to be a man who
This podcast does not endorse beating your kids with a switch.
Yes.
No, it doesn't. But anyway, he turned out to be a man with 3 flourishing and thriving businesses. And he's doing very well with all his children and grandchildren now. He has grandkids. That's why I have great-grand.
So you're a gammy gam.
I'm a great-grand. That's right. Gigi mom. Gigi mom.
Great gam.
Gigi mom.
No. You can't be called gam as a grandmother than Gigi mom? As a great-grandmother?
Great-grandmom.
No, that's too corny.
No, that's a Gigi mom.
Super gam.
But see, no.
Super
absolutely
gam.
not. But see, my mom is great gam.
Yeah.
And it's not. They don't even call her great gam. They call her gate gam. They took the R and the E out and call it gate gam.
That's funny.
That was Kyla. Because she had that lisp.
Makes sense.
She had a lisp and she couldn't say great,
gam.
so she said gate gam. So I can't be gate gam. I have to be Gigi mom.
I like that name.
Gate gam?
She likes
Gate.
Gate gam.
Gam.
Oh, okay.
What did he say?
Gate gam.
Gate gam.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's about enough of that. We should probably quit while
we
we're
can
ahead.
pick it up again next.
We should quit while we're ahead.
Yeah, I agree.
We'll cut that.
Well, you know what I am,
We'll
right?
cut it.
Y'all know what I am. Y'all know what I am. Y'all know what I am.
What?
A cussing Baptist.
Oh no, absolutely not. What? I want people to know that side of me. No.
We're taking
I
that out
am
anyway.
What did we go?
No, we're
seasoned
not.
salted
Oh, we're
saint.
not.
I'm a seasoned salt. What? A seasoned salted saint. So long. Well, needless to say, people, this is my last podcast.
Oh man.
She's a what?
Listen, all you
we
seasoned
do
sauce out
another
there that are
disclaimer?
listening. Yeah.
Seasoned salted saints.
This podcast is brought to you by cussing.
There you go. We Baptists, so
Yeah. Well, episode 2, I think, is in the books for sure.
Yeah.
We definitely need to stop talking before we get someone in trouble.
yes.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of The Journey Podcast. This podcast has been a presentation of CCU Media. Hang on, though, as we'll return again in just 2 weeks with an all-new episode. We hope you join us again for some fun, new, and exciting conversation. Okay, it's time for those pesky little disclaimers. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of Christ Care Unit, Missionary Baptist Church, CCUMEDIA, or Bishop Robert F. Hargrove Sr. We are all members of Christ Care Unit, Missionary Baptist Church in Sicklerville, New Jersey, where Bishop Robert F. Hargrove Sr. is pastor and founder. Follow, like, and subscribe to the show on our Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, really, wherever you get your podcast. And check out our website, ccujourneypodcast.buzzsprout.com. We'll see you right back here in just 2 short weeks. I'm going to miss you while we're gone. I hope you do too. But don't worry, we'll be back again soon. This is The Journey Podcast. Let's talk about it.